Okay, I am going to call the Mashpee Public Schools School Committee Business Meeting of March 8th, 2023 to order. Did I say that right? Okay, thank you. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to also say that the Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who have lived and been sustained on this territory for more than 10,000 years. Our next item is to ratify the agenda for tonight. Does anyone have any edits, changes, or anything that we are modifying? I don't see anything from Patty.
And this is the revised agenda, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we have that vote on there for the settlement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented for tonight.
Okay, motion by Dawn.
I second.
Second by Kathy. Thank you. Having listened to this the last meeting after the fact, I can tell you that none of us are sitting close enough to the microphone, except for perhaps Hope.
I have a trained voice.
I know, it's true.
Just make it clear.
It's true.
I probably don't need any of this.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, great. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Let's go back. We had a motion by Don, a second by Kathy.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. Discussion on the item. Okay, Matt, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Sorry about that. So the agenda is ratified. We have no public comment, and one of my favorites, the Quashnet School STEAM Night. Who are we talking to? Is there
We
anyone
might
here?
be starting with Principal O'Brien.
she
Do you want
she
me to
left.
go? I know that they're bringing something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps she didn't get to.
It's a gift.
Yeah, can we go to you, Talia? Would you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Okay. All right, thanks for being nimble. We'll just flip these two items and start with you.
All right. Well, first off, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed their February break. A lot is going on recently. So, first off, most of the winter sports have ended, not all of them. Not long ago, a guy named Jason Cross, he came to our school and he gave a presentation to all the grades about microaggressions. He was such an amazing speaker, and he did a phenomenal job conveying what microaggressions were and how to get past them. One thing he said that specifically will have a lasting impact on me is microaggressions have macro impacts, and don't let the word micro deceive you. And I think it's just one sentence, but it has huge meaning. And so he did an amazing job, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that made it possible for him to be able to speak at our school, because I feel like he influenced a lot of people. The HOSA conference that I spoke about last month is just a week and a half away. Everyone is so excited, included myself. Members of the Red Cross Youth Club have recently been traveling here to Quashnet to give presentations on fire safety through the Pillowcase Project to 5th graders. Only the kids that did certified training over the summer were able to give the presentation, but other Red Cross members that want to take that training in the future, they also attended to be helpers. I think it was great that I was able to help out and inform others on how to be safe in the event of a fire, which is also really important. Next week, Mashpee will participate in the Sandy Hook Promise See Something, Say Something campaign through Spirit Week. And there's a lot of Spirit Weeks, but this one in particular is very important because it stands for very important things. So usually Spirit Weeks are fun to bring up the spirit, but this one is specifically about very good movement. So for Monday, it will be Crazy Hat Day, but that represents hats off to speaking up. Tuesday will be Neon Colors, but that will represent standing out to remind people to stand up for others. Wednesday will be Falcons Day, which is to look out for the community and your future. And then Thursday will be Green Day to represent community and unity, and to symbolize preventing violence. So all this also kind of ties into microaggression, which I think is a really great thing to hit at Mashpee High School before we go out into colleges. It's really important. Varsity cheer competition was just a few weeks ago. They qualified and attended regionals this Sunday, and they came third in their division, so woohoo to them. Girls varsity basketball is also doing an outstanding job because they also qualified for regionals, and tomorrow they're going all the way up to Boston to compete in tournament, so they're doing a phenomenal job. 37 pints of blood were recently collected/donated in our last blood drive. This blood drive was run by a senior project run by Maya Layden with the help of Hannah Rogers and Caroline. They did a phenomenal job because them doing this just shows how much of amazing people they are. If you think about it, one pint can save up to 3 lives. So 37 pints were collected, which saves so many lives. There will be middle school dance coming up in the spring, as well as prom. Although they do still seem very far away, they're closer than you think. I know a lot of people that are already picking out their dresses and everything like that. National Junior Honor Society sold roses for Valentine's Day. We did it last year as well. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it next year too, because I think it's like a really sweet momentum for Valentine's Day. Progress reports will be coming out soon. So many students are being reminded of the end of the fact that we're almost at the end, halfway through the third quarter. And there's only 4 quarters in the year, so it's crazy to think that we're already more than halfway through the year. I was writing this and it was just like blowing my mind. I was like, I can't believe we're already in March. Like, it's crazy to me. But it means that this year has been great because usually it only flies by when it's so good. Class selection for next year is also going on. So this year, there has been a new idea. So instead of doing everything electronically, there's a paper form where you get to check off your classes and then your teachers sign, and then so do your parents. And I think that this is so important and such a brilliant idea because the parents get to see what their kids are actually taking next year instead of just sometimes not all the students show their parents what they plan to take, so it causes a little bit of conflict. So I think that the fact that the papers are going home is just a really great idea to more communication.
Anyone on the Mashpee School Committee not know what their kids were taking this year? I'm very grateful for that change as well.
Yeah. But that's it for this evening. Thank you all for your time. It was great to see you all, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your month.
Thank you, Dalia.
I did have one quick question. Pillowcase project, can you elaborate on what that is?
Yeah, definitely. So the Pillowcase project is basically kind of like a backpack or anything that you have. It doesn't have to be a pillowcase, but you fill it with necessary things that you might need in case of an emergency. So you'd put a flashlight, batteries, stuff like that you would need. If the house was on fire, you'd put it by your door so that you can grab it running out, and so that you'd be prepared. And the Pillowcase project also goes over where you'd be meeting if there was a fire, meeting spots outside of the home. It's a really important project that some people sometimes overlook because they automatically think that everyone knows it, kind of how you need to drink a certain amount of water a day. Sometimes it's not said, but sometimes it needs to be said. So basically, in the Pillowcase project, when we were presenting it, we had the items in the pillowcase and we would take them out and display them to the 5th graders.
Was that a senior project or just a standard?
No, it was just a part of the Red Cross Youth Club.
Because this is the first year that we have a Youth Red Cross Club at Mashpee Middle High School, and so it's an initiative through that program. And so they came here on quite a few days to do it individually to, I don't know if it was 5th or 6th? 6th grade. It was 6th grade. And I did have it in a few of my communications, Mr. Myers, but I don't think you read about it.
I was too busy communicating with
With
Ashley
Okay.
on my questions
saying.
to get
We
to
had
that.
pictures and everything.
No, I
a great
think that's
project.
a wonderful
Yeah.
initiative and a very worthwhile new club.
Yes.
This is the time of year too, because we're changing the clocks, where you are supposed to check your batteries and your smoke alarms when you change the
Every 6
clocks
months.
as well, so
Yeah.
it's timely as well for that.
And that club came about at the request of 2 students, and it has a good amount of students in it, but it was basically them proposing the idea and going forward with it.
Who is the
The 2 students who started it,
well, that and who's the
advisor,
Ms.
Or-
Bird.
Ms. Purdy. So it was Caroline Cotton and Hannah Rogers who approached us and had the conversation about wanting to have the club.
Oh, excellent.
And
Glad to hear it and wish we had more. So, excellent. Thank you.
I also want to say I'm glad to hear that we're participating in Sandy Hook Promise. I'm sure that's also been in your communication about it. And if it hasn't been, I highly recommend learning about that organization. I'm like I said, it's something that it's one of those organizations I have participated in the past personally. And I'm glad to hear that that is being brought into our schools as well, because it's a very important program that they work on that came from a horrible tragedy, but it's doing so much good. So I'm glad to hear you guys are implementing that.
This is actually our 3rd year
Yeah.
working with Sandy Hook. I have one, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
Right before COVID, we received a request from the Massachusetts Attorney General's office, and they had a grant opportunity that if you wanted to work with Sandy Hook Promise, they would provide all of the funding for it. So it was professional development at Quashnet and the middle high school. And then to say something, there were 2 professional developments. No, sorry, there was assemblies for students, not professional development. 2 for each building, and then the say something week, and then the what is the club called? Oh man, I can't remember. Just Say Hello, yeah, was the first assembly. So we're really excited with COVID shifting into endemic that we can now really integrate the opportunities that we were given from that grant. So
Awesome.
I actually like the Spirit Week connections to like agency and activism, so I think that's a really clever idea too. Matt, anything from you?
No,
Okay.
it's it's good to hear that there's like a variety of different programs that we have going on in the school now, and not everything's just like playing a sport and like doing the standard clubs that have kind of been around forever. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, Mashpee is really incredible because they offer so many things.
Yeah. There's something for everyone. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you, as always, for your enthusiasm and smile. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Feel free to, whenever you have to go, you know the drill. So we are circling back to the Quashnet School STEAM presentation.
Sure.
We do?
Thank you so much for having us. We are so lucky at Quashnet to have a team of special subject teachers that collaborate together and work so hard in great unison to bring wonderful projects to the kids. So tonight, Mrs. Whitten and Mrs. Richards are going to share a project for our 4th graders, and the one missing person is our music piece, because the 3 special subject teachers came together to develop this project. They've been doing it for a couple years now. It's actually one of my favorites. It's amazing seeing this go through all 3 classrooms. So thank you for having us, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Richards.
So first Miss Whitten did this project, and then she said to me, I think this will be a really cool thing to add you in, so then the instruments aren't just this cardboard cutout. So then last year we started working together and with Miss Hill. So they designed their instrument with me, and then we're still kind of working on these now, so that's what you're seeing here. So they designed the instrument with me, and then so the art part is we look at complementary colors that are warm or cool, and then they have to design it. So they couldn't just paint them random. They had to learn about color and colors that go together, because if you're going to buy an instrument, it has to look visually appealing. And so then Miss Whitten and I together helped them cut them out, and then we primed them all. Each class primed them, like a base color.
and then they had to create a rough draft design, so they couldn't just start painting. And then they got to paint them. So if you guys want to come over here so you can share. So we have David, we have Emma, and we have KJ. So Emma's was purples and yellows and complementary colors, and then she wanted to do hers with a kind of a flower design. Anything else, Emma? Am I forgetting anything? And then David and KJ are in the same class, hence they both wanted to do flames. And so their class, they could pick a color to prime it. So they primed theirs black because that would pop out with the warm colors. So they wanted kind of a rock and roll guitar. So then after we did the design, then Miss Whitten's part steps in, which I don't know much about. Hers is the more technical coding.
So in STEM, fourth graders learn about energy transfer. And so this is a big part of energy transfer. They're taking stored energy and turning it into light and sound. There's lights on the back of the circuit boards. And then we use the Scratch program, which is block coding. And so they're learning the basics of writing a program, writing a code. And we pull all these together with some parallel circuits on the back that we've hooked up. And then we might have these in the right order, and if not, then we go back to the drawing board and we make some adjustments, and we work and work and work through the engineering design process until we learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, which is my musical limit, and then I send them down the hall to music. And so that's the third part of this piece is when they go to music, and all of these have 5 notes coded. We have a couple kids who figured out how to code a whole octave, to create a whole octave. So that's kind of exciting. But then they'll go to Miss Hill and Mr. Felix and learn how to play something that's not Mary Had a Little Lamb.
And last year we had them play a song together for, I think, some third graders came and they put on a little show, a couple of classes, so they could actually play them in front of an audience. So do we want to show them how it works? Okay. So first we'll have Emma. So want to explain how you do it, Emma?
So right up here, we have to press on this little thing, and it's connected to, this is called a making key, and as you can see, we hooked it up to, we hooked all these wires up to it, and this wire is connected to my Chromebook. So, what we do is we hold down this, it's called the earth button, and then we just hit any key, and it makes a sound. I'm not great at playing cardboard guitars, but you just hold it down and then you press. And then that's as far as I can get.
So we have different codes, and for the different sounds.
And here we have the engineering design process and cardboard instruments. So sometimes they do get weird on us and not want to play, and sometimes they do just like they're supposed to. Try another note. There we go. Okay.
So we have different things for different codes. So each one plays a different note.
That's awesome.
they haven't made it to music yet, so this is still, all of these classes are still pretty much in the middle of this, making it be right. As you can tell, we haven't totally finished it off, but.
Everything takes longer than you think, too. They want us to design the instruments for like a month, but then it's like, okay. Oh.
They have a lot.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I try?
Want to try it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's someone wants to.
I really regret not touching the cockroach last. I feel like I have to touch these.
Tell her what she's got to do.
Oh, they're like little cats.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they're called rats.
Rats.
Wow.
So you just have to hold that back, and then you can press any of those, and it will change. Yeah, mine's sensitive.
I think it's probably user error on my part.
Oh.
And I don't know how to play any songs, but I just. Awesome. Those are so cool, guys. Anyone else want to try?
No, but
How about I give you a picture?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Ms. Wooden and I have been trying to do more like combine, not just art isolated or STEM. We like to think STEAM and then music. And we just did another thing with Fifth and Sixth, drew animals, and then they made habitats. So we like to combine projects together.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So my grandmother got it for my birthday, but I had to do it. But yeah, so I was like, I'll try it. It was really? Yeah, happy birthday to yourself.
And then tell him he turned 14.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good looking group right there.
So there's this place it's called like Creative Splash, and I went there with my friends, and it's like neon black lights, and you splatter neon paint. It was so cool. And
Where is
they
this?
And there's like this little room, and they play music, and you have the whole room for like 40 minutes. It was so fun.
What was the most fun part?
Like if you ever have a chance to go there.
You know what? There are so many more of those than you might think. That's a lot of songs.
That is a lot of fun. We'll get lights and everything. I think we need to get Dad his own kit.
Let's make him one.
Dad, where's my project?
Good, good. That's a good family activity.
I remember at one point I helped put together a washboard guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It's still in the basement.
Maybe they haven't taken
I think you're gonna need to send them home and let the parents, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they get really mad at me. They're like, "Do we need to take these home?" Not with the wires.
This is why you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
And this is why STEAM is important in schools.
Good night, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you ready?
right?
Do you wanna,
Yeah.
how about while we're waiting for musical instruments to disembark, we just look at the minutes for February 8th, and so we can get them to clear out before we bring Talia up. Is there any, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for February 8th.
I just wanted to say regarding the minutes, fantastic job that Kathy did in your absence.
Oh.
And how timely she completed the meeting.
I didn't pay him to say that, just for the record.
Okay.
With that motion, with that, I'll make. I
Myself.
knew that was gonna happen. With that, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, motion by Don. Do I have
I'll
a second?
second. I'll
Second by Matt. Any further discussion or pandering? Okay, Brian, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Matt,
Yes.
Don,
Of course.
Kathy,
Yes.
I abstain. So the motion passes. All right, so I think, are we resettled here? All right, I think so. So next we have the update from the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Education Department. I believe Talia Landry's here. Hello.
Sorry, guys, I'm kind of running, hosting a Zoom thing.
Yeah.
So I'm letting people in. It's a little hard to multitask. Thank you for having me tonight. So I guess the first update I would say is our partnership meeting that we had yesterday. It went pretty well. We covered a lot of topics that we could keep moving forward on. One is the WeQ that we're going to build out in the courtyard. That's going to be coming underway in spring. They're collecting some stuff now, so they'll be ready to do some more building and stuff after April vacation. And with April vacation in mind, we are taking students to some tribal colleges. We're hitting 4. It's going to be a little bit of a road trip. We're flying out to the Southwest and then doing a little road trip around to see all the tuition-friendly schools that are Native focused. And we have, I think, about 4 students signed up right now, 2 from Mashpee. So that's good. And another big thing that we have just started and spearheaded is the Herring Ambassador Program. And right now we have 3 Mashpee students signed up, all sophomores. And this program is basically a tribal initiative that it's a rights of nature tribal initiative, and we are starting with the rights of herring. So the tribal youth are going to, study the herring, seeing what's going on, what sort of problems that they're facing, and then come together to have a social media campaign so they can let the public know about the herring and what they can do to help and things like that. And then moving on to a point of trying to develop a tribal code to protect those herrings and be the ambassadors for the herring and have that authority and initiative so they can embark on different initiatives to protect the herring. So, and that will be a fun, very fast 12-week basically initiative to do these certain
objectives, and within that, we'll be bringing them to Sitka, Alaska for a youth cultural exchange with the youth up there, when we'll be able to see their herring spawn, and it'll be a fun little time. And that's actually at the end of the month, so it's very fast paced right now. Another big update is that the Falmouth Public Schools, actually, they're going to do a field trip over to the Mashpee High School, or Falmouth High School is going to come over to the Mashpee High School to check out the Indian Ed Room, so they can figure out how they can have a space like that at Falmouth. So Mashpee's being one of those forefronts for that sort of thing.
Do you know the date of that? I gotta make sure those pictures are up.
I don't have the date right now, but I'll make sure to get back to you about it. Yeah, we do have to doll up the room a bit too. What else? Oh, the 10-week professional development starts next week, I believe, and we have a lot of Mashpee faculty signed up, and I know everyone's really excited about that. Dr. Natana Greendeer is going to be leading that, but she has a lot of presenters coming in within the 10-week course, so it's going to be really great and have a lot of good conversations. So I'm really excited for that. And there's actually a date. I'm pretty sure that some Mashpee faculty went last year to the First Light Traditional Ecological Knowledge, the tech workshop. So the dates for that is June 27th to the 29th. If you guys kind of want to let your teachers know, because that fills up pretty fast. They do it over at Webner. There's about 3 or 4 days within the summer, and they get all aspects with science and culture and traditional ecological knowledge all coming together. So it's a good time, and it's good for the teachers. Any more questions so far? You need more?
No, I'm really pleased to hear about the another 10-week professional development opportunity being offered, and I was just curious how it differs from the first one that we did. Is it a similar? Is it kind of Is it meant to be a continuation for people who already did it, or can people come in now for the first time? Or
it's like revamped. Yeah,
it's revamped.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There are a few people who have went. We ran it twice actually. We had it 2 years.
Yes, that's right.
So there are some people who are repeating it, and a bunch of them are new.
Okay.
And we filled up our allotment of slots.
Oh, great.
Like 22.
Gotcha.
What other schools are participating?
Falmouth. It was
Just
Falmouth and
Falmouth?
Mashpee.
Falmouth and Mashpee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many slots did they have? 10?
No, the same.
We both had
22
like
and
it was
22.
22. I don't remember. It was
22 or 25, I think.
It was in that vicinity. I don't know where they're at though, because people are signing up for Mashpee on our platform. For Falmouth.
So since we are like capacity and space limited for things like that, I mean, considering we have 200 teachers, how like if you walk out of that professional development, are you empowered to kind of share things or connect with the topic? I mean, they're learning from you, so how does it get bigger? Do you have to do another training to get more people, or?
Well, there's always conversation and discussion about the learning, even when we took it whenever it was offered before. But it isn't quite the same learning it like snippets through, people who are attending and filtering it.
Yeah.
It really needs to be coming directly from Natana and her co-presenters to really make the big impact. But the more people that take it, you do start to have some common conversations.
Yeah, I think the knowledge is definitely good to share, especially
yeah.
even enrollment, the federal Indian policy, all that, the structure stuff. It's very important for the public to know, and if more people that get the knowledge and could spread it, it's helpful.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because we do.
The first year though we did it, I think we had about 12 to 14, and it's just increased every single year that we offered it to now we're full.
No, that's great.
And there'll be some reporters, I think Ms. Roxanne said, coming in and out, so we'll be able to spread it to the masses.
Is that done in an interactive format? Is that why it's space limited?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It's up in the MMHS library.
Oh, versus.
Yeah, they wanted to encourage, because a lot of the content is not question driven, but the conversations definitely.
Questions,
Yeah.
No, that's good versus more of a lecture.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And are you guys going to, did you identify some students for next week, or are you going to get those names to stuff for the science?
Yeah,
event?
we're gonna, so after we spoke to you, we're going back to lunch this week, so tomorrow and Friday.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to talk, who I'm on the call with now is the Herring Ambassadors,
Oh.
and talk to them about it as well, and just kind of spread the word and see who we could get interested within that.
Okay,
And get their
gotcha.
names.
All right. Cool. That should work. I hope to meet them. Thank you. Any further questions for Talia?
No.
All right.
The only other thing I missed was, because we were talking about the professional development, is we do still offer our workshops, our cultural Zoom workshops that are open to the public. So if you keep up to date on the website, it's it's open to everybody, and we do different topics each month. I think our next topic is going to be actually on Native children's books. So it'd be we'll make sure to get it out to the teachers and stuff like that. But it's a nice conversation to have, and it spotlights different historical but also educational pieces that's really good for faculty and parents and family to know.
Awesome.
On that note, I'm assuming that the library has the books that are, like, will we make sure that the books that are in that are in our libraries?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with.
Yeah, I know we have.
Over the last,
Yeah.
I don't know, 7 years probably, but if there are new ones, yeah, we have
Yeah,
a budget
okay.
for it.
I figured we
Yeah.
did, I just wanted to,
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's quite more of an interactive one as well, because she goes into things to look out for within Native literature. So you could, as a faculty, can identify what is accurate and what might not be. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Talia.
Thank
Say hi to the
you.
Herring Ambassadors for us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So next, are you introducing the out-of-state robotics competition?
Yes, I will.
request? Okay.
So on page 4 of the packet, you do have a memo from Amanda Howe, who is the coach for the robotics team. And then on pages 5 and 6, there are 2 trips. The second trip is the national competition in Dallas, which is, I believe, at the end of April. The trip in front of that one, though, is an optional trip that the students indicated they wanted to go to, one of our teams, and that's what's captured in that memo. And the families of the students are taking them there. Coach Howe, I should say, is not able to go because we're actually hosting a VEX Robotics tournament that weekend. But it is an out-of-state field trip for one of our teams. So we would want school committee approval. There's no cost being incurred by the district for the competition that they're choosing to go to, and then the Worlds one, we will make sure we're taking care of as many expenses as we can.
So how does that work? Do they go in by themselves with their parents, or what's happening?
They are
Oh, okay.
in a car. Oh, no, not to Iowa.
Oh.
No. Yeah, not to Iowa, sorry.
Not to Texas
I
either.
thought I was thinking the Connecticut one. It's Iowa.
I was looking at the Texas one.
That one is the flights too. They did that last year.
So, oh, okay. That the crate robotics is in Iowa, and that's the one they're driving. They're going without Amanda too.
yes.
That's right.
That's just students and their parents, but they need our permission.
I feel that they do because it is one of our teams.
Okay.
Even though we've done it as a class.
Okay. And then so there's really 2
Yeah,
requests to
yes.
vote on.
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like we can take them together if we want. Anybody wants to make a motion?
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we approve the 2 out-of-state Mashpee Middle High School robotics competitions in Iowa on March 27th. I'm sorry, nope. On, where's the date? March 23rd through the 26th, and then to Iowa, April 24th through April 29th of 2023.
Second one's actually Texas, Sherry.
I'm sorry, Texas.
Okay.
Iowa's first
Yeah.
for March, Texas for April.
Anyone want to second that? Second. Who was that, Brian? Yeah. Okay. Second by Brian. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would propose that we amend the motion to include covering the cost for attendance for the second one, since it looks like the first one is covered.
You mean the registration fee or the?
The cost of attendance, so, because it looks like we need accommodations.
We don't typically cover the cost of attendance for these trips.
No.
No, I know. That's why I'm proposing.
You would like to cover the costs?
Do you- I
I'm
don't-
fine with amending that if that's what the committee wants.
It's just for the second one.
I'm not looking at anything that tells me what the cost is gonna be, Tom.
It doesn't. All I see is that there's a check mark here that accommodations are required for the teacher, for Amanda. It doesn't look like that there's anything else.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve the, with a second, to approve the trips. I suggest that rather than amend the motion, we can handle that, the approval of the trips, and then you're free to make a second motion to,
That's fine.
that would make things a little cleaner for me. Any other discussion on that?
On the motion to amend the two, or to approve the two trips, correct?
Now we're gonna take that one first. Okay, no further discussion. Brian?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So the trips are approved. Now, Dawn, you would like to make a motion
To cover the costs for Amanda Howe to attend the VEX Robotic World competition in Texas. When is the date? April 24th through April 29th.
Okay, so Dawn's making a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Kathy seconds. Okay, so for discussion, Patty, can you advise us on this?
So any one of our employees who goes on a school trip like that, we cover their costs. So we don't usually have a second vote. We don't make that person pay for any of that piece of it because
Okay.
they're acting on behalf of us.
I just wanted to make sure,
Okay.
because this is a club and acts a little bit different than a sport, right?
Yes, but we've had our club members go on different events that sometimes require them to stay overnight. We don't make those
Okay.
advisors pay for that hotel.
So it's not
We might make
necessary.
them bunk up or something, but no, I'm just kidding.
All right.
As long as they're covered, that's.
We
that's the point that I
definitely
wanted to
take
make
care.
sure.
Right. I will direct that to
Okay,
Ms.
then
Lopes.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you. Onward.
All right. Next is the superintendent report.
Okay, so the first thing is the professional development, and I know that Dalia talked a little bit about the student assemblies. They were on March 2nd with Jay Cross, who works with Dr. Cleese Warnham. She actually was in attendance as well. And I did share in my communication a little bit about Jay's presentation, but he really did message out about and so did Dr. Warnham, about it starts with one person who basically acknowledges and says they don't like a certain statement being made or behavior, and that it eventually grows. It has to start one person at a time is really how it is. And it is hard for kids to do that, but he had a really good positive message. She also then came back on Monday to work with middle high school staff and Coombs staff, and the message at both of those presentations was really about the danger of a single story. They did watch a TED Talk that was pretty impactful about a person from Africa, but really challenging all of the educators to really think, who do they have single stories about, whether it's a student, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a parent, and really how harmful that can be if you're not going to seek to sort of be curious and understand. So those were really good. The enrollment personnel, any questions on that? Okay. The enrollment and personnel updates are in there. Current enrollment is 1472. And in terms of positions, Edwina Johnson Graham is now a paraprofessional at the middle high school. She started on the 27th. And then Mary Kaminsky, who is a board certified behavioral analyst, which makes me always remember Paul Funk with the BCBA because he used that term so often. Anyway, she is leaving us at the end of March to pursue some other opportunities that she has. So we're currently looking to fill her position and wish her very well.
One
go
quick
ahead.
question.
Yeah.
The choice numbers, what's with the fractions of people? What's that?
The fractions of people?
Yeah,
Oh, from 2021. Well, we do have people who come and go throughout the year, and in terms of DESI's recording, they monitor, post or after the fact, they're able to look at partial.
So one would be an entire year that
Yep.
student's here, and that we would receive $5,000 for that student. If they come for a certain amount of time, then they're reduced from one, and we receive an allocation for the time they're here.
Okay. I know kids come back and stuff like that. I don't remember seeing the partial numbers before, but maybe I usually notice them about 3 months after they appear on the report. So I was just curious about that. And is the new hire, is that Winnie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
So then we have some administrator reports in the packet. You have Matt Treveri's athletic report. I do want to just give a shout out, since it is being recorded, on some of the athletes who were recognized. So Falcon Award winner for boys basketball was Braden Frazier, and a South Shore League All-Star was Dante Clark. For girls basketball, the Falcon Award went to Anakwas Pocknet, and the South Shore League All-Stars, Hialeah Turner Foster, Amaya Peters, and Stellis Desai. In indoor track for boys, the Falcon Award went to Grayer Davis, who might be someone we know here. And for indoor track, the Falcon Award went to McKay Auger. For gymnastics, Ava Kelly received the Falcon Award. Ice hockey, it went to Alex Matten. And then in cheerleading, the Falcon Award went to Haley Wenzel. And I think Delia did point out, so the only team currently still actively competing is our girls basketball team. They will be playing, they are in the round of 8, which is it called the Elite 8 at this point, if it follows March Madness. And they're playing tomorrow night up in Boston. They're playing Cathedral High School, and it is a 6:30 game. We are providing a fan bus. What Matt Treveri says is that it's 74 Union Park Street. The catch is, if our ticket sales exceed 350 to 400, the venue or the date will need to be moved. So I don't know how that's going to go. I would imagine, yeah. Even if you don't want to go buy a ticket. And I do believe the tickets, like they were for the home game we just had, have to be bought in advance online. So, but they're very fun to watch. You were there. Very stressful to watch, but fun.
Yeah, and I always, a pro tip, I usually come in and go to the right, but I was late getting there, and so I ended up behind our bench which was much more fun. First of all, it was like really cool to be on that side. I'm always, because then you can see our crowd over there, and Mike Mannix, who was like making the announcements, was just like 10 feet from me, so I felt like I knew exactly what was going on. But yeah, that was a little too close for comfort there for a few
They're
minutes.
so fun though, like the amount of teamwork and just like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Before I leave the middle school charts, though, I want to make sure we hit the middle school recognitions. So for JV boys basketball, the Falcon Award winner is Dominique Mateo. Nato, I might have said that wrong. Freshman basketball went to Iano Pablo. Girls basketball went to Kai Christo. And then the JV cheerleaders went to Victoria Van Heusen. Oh, and there's a few more here. So then we have middle school boys basketball. The Falcon Award went to Kevin Conley, and the girls basketball at the middle school level went to Ariana Andrade. So we do provide a lot of opportunities for kids to have something to do in the winter months. You also have Consuelo Carroll's report in the outreach. And I know that I think there was a question at a previous meeting about keeping track of YouTube hits or something. Sherry, do you remember what Consuelo said about the tracking of the YouTube?
She's able to do it, it's on
Oh.
her sheet. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
sorry.
saw that. That's good.
Okay.
Originally, she wasn't sure she was going to be able to.
Yeah, that was where I last heard that it wasn't. Okay, thank you. Dr. Goulart's not here this evening. Would you like to hear from either principal that is here?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
let's hear it. What's going on?
How about Mrs. O'Brien? You could go first.
We had a couple big events. This is the last time we saw you.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening again. Yes, we did have a big event last week. We had our annual STEAM night, and it was so well attended. The parking lot was absolutely jam-packed, and the activities were wonderful. One of the things we did do this year was we brought in some outside people, some outside agencies. It wasn't just from the staff. And thank you very much, Mrs. Bartlett, for coming to represent NOAA. That was wonderful.
Bringing some stinky fish.
Yes, we did have a lot of very stinky fish and fish with teeth.
Yeah.
They were a little scary. They were very interesting, though, and the kids really enjoyed that. It was wonderful to have firefighter Lenny Goldman come with his stove, and he taught kids how to put out stove fires and really the science behind it and how you're smothering that fire. It was really great. Mashpee Police was here, and they know they're going to up their game next year because the firefighters had a stove and they didn't. So they're not quite sure what to do. We also had Mr. Betcher, who has a sixth grader here, and he's from Teledyne, and it was so interesting, the robotics that they use, and they taught the science of the sonar, and it was just amazing how they track right whales all over the world, and all of that engineering that went into that design of that underwater submersible. So, and it's great because that leads into a fifth grade project that we do here. So it was, that's a lot.
I understood.
For now and then it does like to speak up. But yes, it was a great night, so I really appreciate all of that. The Massachusetts Wildlife came with all of the animals too, which is always a great draw. One of our parents who does work at Mass Maritime is so excited. He has a third grader here in the building. We're in next year. We're bringing the Maritime. And it's like, great, I will let Mrs. Whitten know. We'll make sure that happens. But a big shout out to Mrs. Whitten because she does organize that. So two biggies for her with the Vets Robotics here in the gym, and then of course with Steve Knight. And she was here again this evening, so she's really a rock star herself, and we appreciate that. Any questions?
I was just going to say how fun it is to see how those nights have evolved just in the time that my kids have been in Mashpee schools. And there was a robotics arena there. I mean, because I had one, I wasn't traveling around to see anything but the rocket launching and in the gym. And I feel like it's, I just love how you guys always say yes and sort of find a way to keep things interesting and fun for the kids because, they don't want to see the same thing every year. They have their favorites, but it's just cool to see the real diversity across all the relevant sciences and so well done.
Absolutely, thank you. One of I think one of the favorite projects the kids did this year in STEM is they created these zoo habitats.
Oh yeah.
And that was another project that was done in collaboration from STEM and the art projects, and the kids drew these amazing animals. If you had a chance to look at some of those displays, it was absolutely beautiful work they did, and then they created the hands-on habitat too. So it was that combination of really using materials, repurposing things. So it was really outstanding. The other piece that we have moved forward on too is our Wampanoag exhibit here in the courtyard, and I've met with DPW, and we do have hopefully a target start time right after April vacation. We may have Big Safe come and just make sure there's nothing live out in the courtyard. There is a light out there, but I don't think share that with the committee before long, once we have finalized that. But it's coming along.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Mary Kate.
Thank you.
And one of the things I wanted to say is we try not to schedule conflicting events for our families to choose between. And last Thursday night, which was their STEAM night, also happened to be a playoff game for the girls basketball. But when I left to go to that, this place was mobbed, so there was enough for both. At both places, they were both very well supported. So, all right, we have Dr. Manette.
I have the Leah, so I feel like she covered above and beyond. Like she can cover the spirit. I just sent that out yesterday. Thank you, Leah. I wish she was here. I could cover that. Couple things. The course selection sheets. It's the good energy going around the school, and I put on my mom hat because I think you said that. That's the only time I ever knew what my kids were taking when they came home. And I was like, oh, these are the offerings. So the kids seem excited about it. The teachers, there's been great feedback at the staff meeting on Monday. Trying to think. National Honor Society recommendations are coming out. Lots of clubs going on. The one thing I want to mention is I feel like we're gaining some traction here with our DEI and B. And I don't know if they've added the B, which I love, is the belonging. So I'm doing a lot of reading about DEIB, which I just love that phrase. So I'm actually going with a group to Sutton High School. It's called the Connections Conference next Friday, March 17th. And this is a conference I've read about, and actually a teacher, Mr. Similars, brought it to our attention a few months ago that he went last year. And it's a social justice conference, and I'm inviting students tomorrow, so they don't, we can only take 9, so to try to figure out, I've had students help me with the names, I've had teachers help me with names, and I'm gonna approach 9 students tomorrow. The only thing is they have to get up and be at school by 6:15 on the day that they would have off, so I'm gonna have to dangle something in front of them. But it looks like, so if you Google
Duncan.
Sutton High School Connections Conference, the one criteria that I really wanted to push with the students who were giving me names and with the teachers is I don't want the ones that already get it. I want the ones that need it. So the names, I'm really hoping, I'm going to try to call home and convince some parents that the kids don't show an interest. But I'm excited. I'm excited about this group that's going. There's 2 teachers that are going as well as myself. So if you Google Sutton High School Connections Conference, the program it's unbelievable. They're offering 35 breakout sessions. And I don't know if you've seen it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
The girls' basketball game was pretty intense, I have to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. DEIB, can you just, for us who don't know offhand what that stands for, can you please?
Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging.
And belonging. Okay.
That's the new, and I love it. I love, that's the piece I feel like we were missing, is that belonging. So the J Cross thing went over really well. I was a little nervous, but it went off really well. And to hear Galia, it's just good to hear students, because in my head, I'm like, the feedback was good that I thought. And Dr. Warren, I could listen to her all day. So
Yeah.
she's been a complete asset for the school. But am I missing anything?
One quick question on the forms, and maybe it's there and I'm just playing ignorant right now, but with the course offerings, is there anywhere that parents can look and see the difference between, say, an AP course versus an honors course versus a CP course? Because on the forms, it doesn't exactly tell parents what the difference might be, in terms of a course description kind of thing.
That would be our program of study.
Okay, it is there. Just reminding parents that they can
I'm
reference.
actually sending out an email tomorrow.
Okay.
The course selection, I want to give the kids a chance to go home and have a conversation. But I'm hoping I can maybe include that document. So thank you. I'll put that.
Thank you.
in my
Yeah.
little reminder.
I think linking it in would be great.
I think so too, because the form, like I said, the form comes home and, some parents know that exists and other parents might not know how to find it on the website, and easy access is always good.
The most shocking thing about that form was when the teachers first saw it, just to realize what we offer at the high school is insane. So teachers came and they're like, oh my gosh, to see it spelled out in black and white. I'm like, yeah, we offer a lot of things here.
I think the students too, just from my own students' perspective of selecting something, but then having a teacher say, no, go the next level up, has been,
That's the whole point.
yes.
Yeah.
And that,
That's what I wanted to add.
I wanted to add too.
because that lifted I think a lot of students are probably going to get that confidence boost that they might need to know that their teachers think you're ready for a bigger and better step. So I really.
The triangle when I talked about it at the staff meeting is there was always the teacher-student conversation, but
And we wanted it to start at the student level, so their voice came through first. Sometimes in the past, it would start with a teacher recommendation, and that isn't the way it should start. So having the students decide what they want, having parent input, and then having that conversation with a teacher. And if the teacher says, you shouldn't be in that puts the student at a better position for that conversation than challenging a teacher who's already said, I don't think you should be there. Like, that they're not really supposed to be the gatekeeper, so to speak. So anyway.
I know in our household, it's like been every day, like, since the form came out, like coming home and being like, wanting to have that conversation of like, hey, look what I can do. And then this is what I was thinking about doing. And I'm so excited to talk to my teachers about it. And like, they feel so like empowered and like involved in their process. Yeah.
That's what we want. That was the goal.
I guess recommendation though for next year, maybe get that program of studies out before so that parents, when that form comes home that first night, can look that up. You know what I mean?
Is it on the website?
This is true, but not everybody could get, I understand. But I guess I'm just saying maybe remind people just because when the form comes home, it doesn't always have that link there. Or maybe it did and I didn't look because it was really quickly shown. And
that was a good idea.
Yes. Yep.
So,
Perfect.
So what day did it come home?
Monday.
Like 2 days ago?
No, Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, I just heard about it today. Like, what am I?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
just
Tuesday.
it's not due until March 17th.
Okay.
So there's plenty of time.
But some students are a bit ambitious and are getting all their signatures.
I thought it was the 17th.
That's a holiday.
Maybe it didn't? Okay, maybe not the 17th,
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry.
We can't give it too much time because then it just.
It's probably the 10th and I
I
should just
think
stop
it's
talking.
The only other question I had was, how are our numbers looking for the DC trip?
Ashley's a good one for that too.
You know, I only care about the 8th grade trip, Stacy. Come on.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
I got through the 10th grade trip and yes, I barely survived, but it was awesome. The 8th grade trip, I
Ashley
don't
has it.
know the numbers.
There are approximately 65 students for the 8th grade trip.
Okay.
There's 2 buses going for the 8th grade trip.
Okay. Yeah, it was funny. I have a friend who's, I guess 8th graders all over the country go to DC
Yes.
in 8th grade. And so it was like, she was sending her son on an airplane, to go to DC for 8th grade. And I was like, well, I bet he's happy he doesn't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning like our kids do. But, so I just made a note to ask you. So thanks for that.
Out of curiosity, the 9th grade trip has how many?
They only have 1 bus. There's 50 students right now, and there's 5 on the wait list.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next is the update on the survey, which it closes on Friday, the 10th. We sent it out on the Monday after the break, which was February 27th. So we were very consistent in every year that it's always at the same time. We sent, so the students took it that day. There were some glitches at the middle high school. We kind of tried to resolve those. I sent a reminder Monday to the MMHS students saying, it's a half day, you have a little extra time. Today's email went only to the students who have not submitted it, as sort of a plea to please do it. And then also around, I think it was 2:45 today, we sent a reminder email. We sent a general reminder to all parents on Monday, but we sent a specific to those who have not completed it today. And again, asking them to do it by Friday. I kind of shared our numbers were below what they were last year. So come on, we got to at least hit last year's. So just a quick, as of today at 2:30, we've had 28% response from Coombs parents. Last year's landed at 44. So I shared that. It'll get tweaked a smidge because we look at it by family. So that's just a little bit slightly different data. So Quashnet has a 27% response rate. Last year they landed at 36. MMHS Parent Guardians is at 25, and last year they landed at 31%. And then in terms of students, our 5th and 6th graders at Quash, 82% have responded, and last year we hit 83. That's not likely to grow. I didn't send out, although I think we talked about sending out individual ones to the ones we don't have in 5th and 6th grade, so we probably will do that. And then MMHS students, 61% have responded so far, where last year we landed at 69. So we're slowly getting up. When we first received after the first day, when everyone was given time to do it, we were like 175 kids lower than last year. I'm like, this cannot be. We all agreed, this can't be. It's slowly creeping up, so we'll see how we do with that. So that's where we're. Oh, yeah.
The course selection sheets are due March 16th. So I just
Okay,
wanted
next
to make
Thursday.
sure that
Next
is
week.
clear.
Thursday.
Because I feel vindicated now.
Okay, Thursday. Okay. Right
So
before
you're
the
both wrong.
long weekend.
I was less wrong.
Okay.
Price is Right rules.
And just one more thing, it is, the program of studies will go home to families, but it is on the website. It is on the website, on the middle high school website. So
Okay.
you can access it there as well. Sorry.
That's okay.
Great.
Any questions so far on the survey? So I'll have sort of, at the April meeting, it will be closed. We'll have more specifics, and then the details are always shared in July, usually. Graduation, just as an FYI, is June 3rd, 10 a.m. at the high school. It is inside in the gymnasium. We are having a different arrangement than usual. There will be tiered risers. The graduates will be sitting facing the audience, and how they walk and get their diplomas a little different. And so everybody will have a better view of everything. Brad is also working on something on the roof. He said that was working to see about some kind of a chilling element, which has totally shocked me. Anyway.
It doesn't involve a hole, does it?
No, I don't know. He kind of surprised me when he said something about that. I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Okay.
In terms of recognitions, acknowledgements, I do want to point out that we talked about the basketball team. The Mashpee Chamber of Commerce always annually chooses some unsung heroes, and also the Citizen of the Year. I just want to shout out to Ruth Provost. She's the Boys and Girls Club director. She is the Citizen of the Year. That was a perfect choice. She does so much for our families and our students. In terms of unsung heroes, 2 members of our Mashpee community were chosen to be recognized. Amy Sines, who is the driver of Bus 11. She also received a Life Impact Diploma last year from Hunter Toby. She's an amazing bus driver. And then Aphrodite Purdy, or Effie Purdy as we know her, she is a wellness teacher at MMHS. She is also being recognized. So they have their annual meeting dinner on March 23rd, which is when they actually celebrate and recognize those people. We already talked about STEAM Night. I do want to give a shout out for the middle high school, the Civics Career Day, which I think was last Friday. That was really well done, and thank you to Mr. Corey, who's a social studies teacher at the middle school, and all of our sort of connected community members who came and shared their roles in. It was very well organized and very informative to our 8th graders. And 2 committee members as well were participating. Kathy shared about what it was to be a school committee member, which I don't know if you emphasize how it was an unpaid role, but.
I did not. I did not. But when they heard that we oversaw superintendent evaluation, they all perked up and said, "What does that mean?"
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, they didn't know that."
Oh, that's funny.
So that was kind of fun.
And then Chairman Bartlett was there wearing her other hat as the NOAA regional director. But we had, townspeople, military people, tribal member was there. It was really well done. I enjoyed sort of looking at it from a little bit of a distance. I think that's it. Oh, just to include up in my update is the update on the principal search for the Quashnet School. As you all probably know at this point, Mary Kate O'Brien is choosing to transfer to the principal role at the Coombs School because Dr. Goulart is retiring at the end of this school year. And so that leaves the leadership position open here at the Quashnet School. There are no interested in-house candidates. We did have conversations with a few people. And so the committee, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hanscom because she's basically taking on that responsibility of working through the process.
Yeah, actually co-leading it with Dr. Curley over there, but I will definitely speak week, next Tuesday and Thursday. Our committee is strong and robust, and we're very excited about it. We feel like it's representing the Quashnet School really well. We have the assistant principal, an administrative assistant. We have 2 teachers. We have a school counselor. We have someone from the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Education Department, and we have a parent and a student. So I think all sort of stakeholders are going to have an opportunity to have a say. We also did a survey for the Quashnet School to get input on the portrait of a Quashnet principal and the characteristics that they're looking for. And then we used that to draft the questions, the interview questions. We have 6 candidates that Dr. Curley and I did this paper screen yesterday. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't remember. It was 2 days. Yesterday? Okay. And so we have scheduled 5 of the 6 interviews. We're waiting to hear back from 1 candidate. And then the next step will be the committee will recommend 2 to 3 finalists to the superintendent. And those finalists we think will have come into Quashnet towards the end of the day, meet with the student council, have the student council be able to ask questions, and then a voluntary staff meeting for staff to be able to come and meet the candidates as well to give feedback. So we're really excited. I think we have some really strong candidates and a great committee, and we've picked yummy food for the dinners. So that's obviously the sell for me, feed our committees. Dr. Curley, did I miss anything? Okay. Any questions?
No, thank you.
I will say, sorry, I have to say one thing. Is she still here? Mary Kate's still here. On the survey that we did for the Quashnet folks, I think like 9 out of the 15 comments we got were asking if we could just clone Mary Kate. And so I have to disappoint them by saying we can't, but it's going to be very hard to have somebody fill her shoes because she's amazing.
How many years have you been principal at Quashnet?
The Coombs people are pumped though. They're
Yeah,
getting married.
yeah.
You know, if Deb's retiring, they were going to get a new person. They're very excited.
Awesome.
I think we'll talk about the NOAA event under upcoming events.
Okay.
The only other thing I had was, you might have seen it in my communication on Friday, but I do want to give a shout out, and we don't have a Coombs person here to speak about the school, but Judy McMorrow is a 2nd grade teacher, and she was a longtime para who was always licensed as a teacher. And during COVID, she stepped up and became a teacher when we had to divvy up kids into groups of 12. And then last year, she went back to her para role, but we had a teacher who left in the fall. And so she stepped back into that role. And then this year, she actually full-time, it was her position. But anyway, she did a lesson on contractions. And I don't know if you saw it, but she had the kids dress up as surgeons, and they were like doing operations about the letters. And I'm telling you, when you talk about a teacher that goes above and beyond, an example of a well-resourced lesson plan that you couldn't just walk into. And she told me yesterday, or whatever day I saw her, that the kids didn't know anything about it ahead of time. And so they were like thrown. And but just the fact, I was thinking we recycled all of those smocks that we had boxes of during COVID, because we're like, what are we going to do with all these things? But I think anybody who had that learning experience is probably never going to forget it when they think about contractions. That is going to be ingrained because it was so experiential and so much like what 2nd graders would like to do is play the role of a surgeon. So I do want to just give that as a shout out. It was a phenomenal. I'm so glad that they shared it with me. So
I love the sheets over the desks, like operating tables.
yeah, no, everything was just done well.
They will remember there, and there.
Yeah, it's better than most adults.
Yeah.
I come across.
Any other questions on anything? My section?
Nope. Okay. All right, let's move on to our Director of Finance.
In your packet are the standard FY23 budget reports. I did receive a few questions before the meeting, and I got back to Dawn on those. Does anyone else have any questions for FY23?
I don't.
The one question he had was about the school choice amount. There was $8,000 sitting in there. It was miscoded, and when I did the reports, we were able to move it, so probably changed. FY24, the town manager has moved forward with your approved FY24 budget, so there have been no changes to date on that. And the superintendent is going to discuss FY24 CIP.
So they had, there's been a few CIP, well, three CIP meetings. At the last CIP meeting, which was, I think, last Wednesday, I think was the first. The final vote and recommendation of the CIP committee basically looks like this. I will explain it. So as you know, we are working on HVAC infrastructure upgrades at all three of our schools. We have a very large number that came out at like 26 million from, based on a feasibility study. Yes. We have since gone back and working through the DPW, because as you recall, everything with our buildings definitely is connected, and it's on the town side. So we're moving forward with our HVAC upgrades, but it's a little bit different and thought to be much less expensive with, are they ERVs? Anyway, the goal is still to provide comfortable learning environments for all students and working environments for our staff. So what was decided is we have ESSER funds, which we've talked about before, but we have $300,000 in ESSER 2 funds. We have $1,195,840 in ESSER 3 funds. We are going to also apply $2,500,000 from school choice funds. The total that we have in funding to put towards this HVAC upgrade project for the schools is $3,995,840. The original, or one of the amounts that the town was working with was $5 million. So out of the capital stabilization fund, the CIP committee recommended that $1,005,000 be put towards the initial phase of this work, so that basically between our three sources of funding and the capital stabilization of $1,005,000 gives us $5,000 as a starting point for the work.
5 million.
5 million, sorry, yes. Then we went on to all of the other items that we were asking for are being funded through the capital stabilization fund. Then we started to look, or the committee, I am a member of the committee, looked at debt exclusion. And where they landed was an $8 million, an $8 million debt exclusion for multiple items. It includes this fire vehicle at $1.4 million, upgrades to the police department building because they do have basically air quality that's unsatisfactory. $3 million for that project. $272,800 for the DPW roof. $725,000 for town hall piping improvements. And then $1,500,000 in additional funding towards our school HVAC upgrade projects. So, you know, the bottom line for me when you look at that is that CIP has approved $2,505,000 in support for our school building projects.
So the one caveat I think is that we didn't. Some of that money was for the school for that $1.5 million, but if the PD comes in short, there's a chance we might not get all that.
So there's conversation on how the money will be allocated. It's going on as one debt exclusion, and then the items will be listed but not broken out at funding amounts in case there are overruns on one project or another, and looking at the priorities of what needs to get done first. We do have our bucket of money that we can start chipping away at if it does pass. So I think it's an ongoing conversation. We're not guaranteed a certain amount of money in the debt exclusion. The estimate was about, I think Catherine said, ballpark, really, really estimated numbers was 1.5 she thought we needed to maybe finish the project. But again, we don't have any firm numbers on that.
So, just to clarify, we have basically 4 million in funding that the school has. We have $1 million from the capital stabilization
Yes,
fund, right?
yes,
So that's a total of $5 million for the Casey Coombs HVAC upgrades, correct?
So the thought was that during these CIP meetings, this new alternative, we're going to add cooling and not redo the entire HVAC system. It would cost, the first number was $300,000, but I think they're now up to close to $1 million to upgrade the HVAC over at Coombs. So we would start with Coombs and do that project, but then these additional funds would go to engineering and design for the middle high school and Quashnet. And then also money set aside for the RFQ process
So
and the
we can do the
OPM.
audit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
remember
missed
that
that
audit could give us a fixed price for a host of potential items for HVAC upgrades, and some of them might be at Coombs and some of them might be at Quashnet or the middle high school. The bottom line is the I don't even know if Cadillac is the right term anymore for the top of the line, but the high dollar amount was about 26 million to do all of our buildings. We have about 6, and we need to figure out what we can do with that 6 million, and that's the work of, that's like the after, and I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunder,
No.
but we don't just have town meeting to worry about because this is a debt exclusion, it goes on the ballot. So it has to be approved at town meeting, and then it also has to be approved by the voters on May.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, May 6th. Because the 1st is a Monday.
Which is on a Saturday in 3 new polling locations this year.
Isn't town meeting on the 1st? So then it's the Saturday after
So,
town meeting.
Come back to me again on
Yeah,
that,
the
because
6th.
I'm missing something. So are we completing the HVAC upgrades at Casey Coombs with this funding?
Yes, but it's not
Completely.
the same project that we initially put on the table of upgrading the entire heating and cooling. It is just to add cooling to Casey Coombs now,
Okay.
not to redo the entire HVAC system.
And also, it's different units altogether. It's not going to be the same thing that we were initially discussing. They've introduced an entire new product that they want to use, which is the big reduction in the price of the project.
So that will fit within the 5 million that we have available
Yes,
for Casey Coombs?
yes.
And then the additional 1.5 million that would be potentially available if the debt exclusion passes, would be available to do a feasibility study and what else?
So the 5 million, I would now, instead of calling it just for Casey Coombs, we have $5 million of funding outside of the debt exclusion to upgrade all of the Mashpee Public Schools HVAC. So the money, the way it's going to be on CIP is that it could go to any of our school buildings. We're going to start with Casey Coombs because that was our highest priority, and we're going to add cooling to that within the $5 million. It's not going to cost $5 million. I would say the rough estimate is between 1 million and 1.5 at this moment of the 5 million.
Okay.
So within the $5 million, we also are going to go out and get, we will have money for the energy audit as well as an OPM and engineering and design at the middle high school and at Quashnet
Within the 5 million.
within the 5 million.
And then the 1.5 million from the override, or from
Well,
the exclusion,
From the exclusion, yeah.
would be for what?
It would go for
To the work.
construction and next steps. So the hope is within the 5 million that we can do design and engineering and start construction at another school, not just Casey Coombs. So we could start either at the middle, most likely the middle high school would be the second building.
Okay.
And then we'd have that third funding source of the bond to have construction at Quashnet.
I think construction is a confusing term in a way because we're not redoing the HVAC system anyway. I mean, what they're talking about, Don, is these, basically something that sort of cools clumps of classrooms as a block. And so imagine if we have 50 classrooms and we can use 10 of these, they each do 5 classrooms, then we're buying 10 of these units instead of redoing ductwork and ripping apart pipes and all that stuff.
I'm just trying to understand how much how much we think we're going to get accomplished with this
There's a little
funding.
unknown there.
So we think we're going to get Casey Coombs completed.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're going to get some or all of the middle high school.
We think at least we'll have engineering and design for the middle high school and for Quashnet, so we could have better numbers to determine how much funding we do have and how much more funding we would need to request for what we call the third stage of construction, even though it's not the building project.
But that will come after we do the energy audit, correct? Like, we're not going to make that list until we see what the energy audit comes back with, so that we have that kind of laundry list, so to speak,
That's the plan.
of projects. Okay.
So right now, due to the charter and the bylaws, we are kind of at a standstill until town meeting when we receive approval, and then July 1st when the funding becomes available to move forward with these projects.
But the energy audit, we were approved to do that, correct? So we can move forward with, we cannot move forward with
No,
that.
it needs to have town
Okay.
meeting approval.
We have to approve the project itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of discussion with CIP. There was a updated opinion from legal that told us that we needed town meeting approval. So we're going through the proper channels and doing things correctly.
not just us,
No.
but anyone.
Anyone?
Um,
Yep.
To spend more than $25,000 has to go through town meeting.
I forgot about that email, so thank you for the reminder. I read it, and
It
I,
didn't come out until the 4th CIP meeting.
Yeah.
no, I remember reading it, and yeah,
So,
just kind of forgot about it.
Sounds like something for the
Charter review?
Charter Review Committee to consider.
Are you on that?
We haven't received the notice for that, have we?
No.
So I think that's next year it'll come up.
But one school committee member does get a seat on
Oh,
it, so.
Two.
Two, okay.
Brian, do you have any questions?
No.
Matt?
No, I've just been trying to eagerly listen and play along.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kathy, Don, any further questions?
I emailed my one question, but I think that's gonna come a
When we
little
have more,
later
yeah.
down the line, because
All right.
I know from administration, I would like to say thank you for attending as many CIP meetings as you can.
Absolutely.
I know it's been a long process, and we've been having a lot of discussions, so we appreciate your support being at the meetings.
It's very helpful.
Well, thank you for getting us another $2.5 million.
Yes.
Did you have more?
I don't have any more related to CIP.
Okay, well, I'm now on unfinished business student advisory committee.
Yes.
Yes, I met with Dr. Monette and Brian Brody, and next week on the 15th, I am meeting with the student council and Mr. Brody to discuss this opportunity and what that looks like, so that when elections come up for next year, they'll have an understanding of what they're going to be electing. We're going to kind of just discuss what the student advisory committee is, how it works, what the requirements are, and what the commitment will be. I also kind of did a plug for it during Civics Day with all the students, because I wanted them to know part of like being civic minded is to have involvement. A lot of them expressed interest because they'll be freshmen next year, so I don't know how involved they'll get, but it was good to put the bug in their ear rather. And then I also mentioned it yesterday at our partnership meeting, so that the tribal education department could put it out to the youth, because I think that there's a good connection there as well, so that representation is had by all. But that's where that stands, and next month I'll be able to tell you even more about how the meeting went with the student council. So
Great.
it's moving forward.
Thank you for doing all that.
Just a quick question. So the plan is that they'll have elections this summer or spring?
I think June, right, is when they'll do elections in June. And the discussion too is to elect from the student council, and see if that, how that works. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that. The thought being that the student council is usually the students who are the most active and but we'll put it out, I believe, to everyone. But that is definitely the starting point, is the student council.
But they wouldn't come out here until the fall.
Yes, they would not be here until September.
Right. I was just reading that the
Yes.
law says it has to be done prior to June 1st.
Yes.
so.
I mean, theoretically, they could attend the retreat if we wanted them to. Like the representative, we could have them attend the retreat as part of, because they are a non-voting, deliberating member of the school committee. So that's an option. But with it being their summertime, they might not want to give up a day in August or whenever the retreat is. But something to think about.
Thank you for keeping that moving forward and all your work behind the scenes. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on to new business. I think everybody is up to speed on the Jewel settlement. And you have the detailed description in your packet, but basically we need to vote to accept this $8,985.54 as part of that settlement claim.
Correct.
I will.
So the only, go ahead.
I will entertain a motion to approve that settlement. Accept the money.
I'll make the motion to approve the dual form consent package settlement.
Okay, first by Matt, do you want a second?
Second.
Second by Don.
Yeah.
And is there any discussion?
I'm having spent a little bit of time perusing through all those 30
I should have sent you the 81 pages. You would have liked reading all of
I was
the
looking
schools
for-
across the country that got their amounts. And the formula.
I was amazed by all the formulas. And if you would have sent me the 81 pages, I could have skipped and just thought.
You would have tried to figure out the formula.
I just wanted to know if we did have legal counsel review.
Absolutely.
Because I saw that mentioned
Oh, yeah.
multiple times within the document.
So within our law firm, Peter Mello seems to have been the attorney that has dealt with this. There's another potential class action lawsuit we may become part of that has to do with social media. So, yeah. Okay.
All right, great. Brian, how do you vote?
I'll abstain.
Matt?
Yep.
Kathy?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, so we have a new school committee meeting schedule. I think this is for next year, and it's page. Did you swap this?
I did.
Okay, so this is different than maybe what went out originally. There were a couple of. So this is just your tentative meeting dates for the next school year. As always, we have the prerogative to adjust them at any time, but if you know of a conflict, yes, Don.
So, I noted 3 conflicts in the schedule. There's one is for the Lebanon Secondary School. That will conflict with the collaborative meetings, which tonight is a collaborative meeting, and obviously I make a choice to come here, but if there is a way for us to adjust our schedule.
Are you looking at I see 2 that are on the second 2 Wednesdays.
Yeah, April 10th and June 12th.
I see December 13th, February 14th.
That one,
You're looking at the old one?
yeah. We like to shake
In your
things up.
packet. Yeah, in your packet.
The newest packet. Here you go.
So
Sorry.
but you're right.
But you're right,
are
there's 2
There's
conflicts.
2 Wednesdays.
Yes.
2 second Wednesdays.
So there's 2 still.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's one, on the 12th.
The April one gets a little glitchy because of vacation week and also the timing of like when I share out goals and whoever has to sort of prep for that early May 1st meeting with an evaluation. So you could potentially go earlier in April.
The 3rd? It would either be the 3rd or the 24th.
And the 24th is late.
That's the first Wednesday. The March meeting is on the 20th.
20th.
It'd be a week, yeah.
I mean, I know that you are, so 2 consecutive meetings is a problem for the collaborative in terms of missing. But I think 2 for the entire year is pretty good considering we meet on Wednesdays. But you can also try to work this later as we get closer to either of those dates.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could we move the June one up? Because that would be 2 weeks between the May and the June one.
Yeah.
Make it June 5th instead of June 12th. I know.
Compromise.
Yeah.
Okay.
June 5th,
So that's the first Wednesday now.
first Wednesday.
All right, so does anyone want to propose these for adoption? With that change to June 5th for the last date?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve Mashpee School Committee meeting scheduled for 2023, 2024, with the change of June 12th to June 5th.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Don. Any further discussion? Gaston?
Yeah, so I also see, so we moved March 13th to March 20th. On the original sheet, it said it was the third Wednesday, so it is now really the third Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Kathy's got an actual paper calendar down here.
Yeah, I'm old school.
Yeah, she's flipping through there. Yeah.
I am very old fashioned with my paper book here.
That's called a planner.
It's the only way I know where to be and when to be.
This is on my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That can get turned off. This can't.
Okay, Brian, how do you vote? Matt?
Yes.
Don? Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. All right, school choice program. So you should have a handout with our numbers for the next school year.
Yep.
You want to say anything about this?
No, it's just the windows are the same as last year. I noticed during a communication from the Department of Education that the seats, the allocation of seats by grade level is something that school committee should vote on. So we want to make sure that we're having you do that. Not that we couldn't come back and potentially ask for changes, but.
So, it's not, so we will have 8 seats in kindergarten, but we're only adding 5.
No, you just really want to look at the blue column.
Oh, okay.
The yellow column is just as an FYI for you. We'll offer 5 choice seats in kindergarten. That is a really hard one to offer any in because it's so unknown, but we do know of people who are interested, so.
We're not adding these seats
In high school?
in high school?
No, it's not always been I don't know how to say this in a public.
I can say it. if
Okay,
that's it.
yeah.
So the current 8th grade is very large, and so even with some kids going on to other schools, there's not as many as
Well, yeah.
you think.
Yeah.
And then secondly, these are the grade levels that since COVID, we've noticed need the most level of support. And so for this year, we are not comfortable with adding to either of those grade levels. And we never recommend having kids come in at 11th through 12th.
And the only thing that we generally do is if it's a student who's been in Mashpee their career and something happens in their situation, and they're in 11th grade and they ask to stay, we flip them to choice. But we don't open it to anyone who's new to the district in those grades. Thank you.
I mean, I see the point in regard to our current 8th grade class and in regard to our current 10th grade class. But then our current 9th grade class is smaller than any of the other classes. that would be our next year's 10th grade, right?
Yeah.
You're still uncomfortable.
Yes.
I think given sort of what we have seen, it is better to keep class sizes lower for our students, if we can.
I don't know, looking down the line, part of me, like, I understand what you're saying, and I agree small class sizes are very important, but 9th and 10th, part of me, as we look down the line at what the current enrollment numbers are, I mean, with 2 or 3 seats really impacts those numbers drastically. You know, like not giving anyone an opportunity to come in at Mashpee in 9th and 10th grade. You know, 9th grade, especially because things do kind of shuffle around for kids at 9th grade, where they do have the option for tech or Sturgis or, you know, other options. Part of me would like to see Mashpee still be an option for 9th grade at least. Because honestly, like when you look at the enrollment numbers and you go back, like 3rd, 4th, you know, even 6th grade, this year's 6th grade at 106. I mean, could we round it up, get it up to 110? You know, is that really going to impact it that drastically, I guess is my question.
And speaking at the high school level, I do want to say that we do tend to be very focused on making sure or trying to ensure a school culture and climate that sort of is manageable with the resources that we have, and some past experiences have not necessarily been the most positive when it came to school choice at the higher grade levels.
Is it okay if I add something too?
Yes.
I mean, you're looking at numbers, we're looking at people, and the administrative team spent days, weeks talking about this before we proposed these numbers to you. So you're certainly welcome to do whatever you like, it's your prerogative, but I don't want you to think it was a numbers game. It's an actual human being game that we considered very, very carefully before we brought a 0 to you for the high school. So I just feel compelled to.
I can't think of a time I've been on the committee where we've had 0 seats offered in high school in this choice program. So it's a little surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I understand the rationale for like 11th and 12th. That makes total sense. But 9th and 10th, that is a little surprising to me. And I'm not questioning your
No, you
decision
can.
and how you got to that point. I agree, it is a people thing, but a people project, however you want to term that, you know. And I appreciate that that's how you approach it. I guess I just worry that we're kind of, I don't know. I just feel like not having it there for at least 9th grade. At the very least, I don't know, it doesn't totally sit right with me, I'm going to be honest.
So it looks like we have to vote on this tonight because the enrollment period is going to open on April 1st.
So this is when I look at this, you know, I don't know, I guess I don't look at it as it from a people perspective other than from a capacity standpoint. Do we have the capacity with our current staff or anticipated staff to be able to support an additional, what do we have now, 10 to 12 kids at the high school?
I mean, I can make a generalized statement that we are challenged by more students who have social emotional issues and anxiety that does require a reallocation of our resources or the use of it in different ways. So because of that, and knowing we know all the students that we're actually talking about when we look at the 8th graders shifting to 9th grade, and yes, some of them are leaving to go elsewhere. But there are students at every grade level that are requiring more resources. So it's not just looking at, it's not just looking at our total enrollment and the number of staff on the enrollment need. The needs of our enrolled students are more significant, and that's not just at the high school. That's all the way down to Coombs.
But all the way down to Coombs, we feel that we do have the capacity to take on additional students. When we get to the high school, from middle high school, we're saying we don't. Is that correct?
The challenges present differently at the middle high school in terms of resource allocation.
If you think about what grade levels those kids missed, they missed the opportunity to have their sort of preteen, pre-adolescent issues at Quashnet. They either missed it at Quashnet or they missed it at the middle school. And we are seeing the manifestation of them not having that opportunity. We're seeing it very strongly. So again, you guys can do what you want. I mean, we'll make whatever work, but I guess I just want to again emphasize how much time, and I think the principals and Dr. Furley are nodding right now and saying how much time and thought went into this recommendation. And I don't think it's forever. I don't think that
No,
we're
it's
saying we could never take kids.
It's a 1 year look at where we're at.
Again, we'll do it. We'll obviously make
Yeah,
something work.
whatever the committee wants.
I guess, we've always relied upon your assessment as far as the capacity of the schools to be able to take choice students in, and I felt comfortable that we had that capacity. It's, I guess, a little surprising all of a sudden to hear that we don't have that capacity to do that.
We had a pandemic.
I think the
manifestation of that, and this is first I'm hearing, first that I'm hearing it, or at least that I'm remembering hearing about, that we've got a real issue.
Well, we wouldn't discuss this in an open meeting, ever, because they're students.
No, I know, but it's an impact on the overall organization, right? And we've all lived through the pandemic, thankfully survived, and we're going to be dealing with that with every student that we have here that started school since before last year. So we've got to deal with this for another 12 years, 11 years, right? And all of a sudden, now I'm hearing that it's hitting home, particularly within the impact on our upper adolescent students.
Matt or Brian, do you have any?
I guess I kind of question, like, so, like, I know we're looking at, like, presenting, like, a zero, but, like, is there already a process in place, like, if we had, like, a case-by-case basis where, because I know we voted before on, like, case-by-case basis of things outside of enrollment, is this something that if there was this definite need and, like, we reevaluate based on that situation, that's something that, I mean, like, if we had that one-off?
You know, like if a kid moved out but wanted to stay?
Yeah, or, like, numbers changed in that time period between now and then, like, I mean, like, this is just kind of, like, in general, like, what we're looking to,
So you're thinking of two different things, I believe. My recollection in the past was waive tuition for someone to finish.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that was something different. But like, I mean, like with this, it's like I'm saying, like, these numbers are always flexing. Like, kids kind of come and go as the numbers can adjust to begin with. So it's like it's something that, like, as this time frame comes through, sometimes.
Are choice seats ever adjusted mid-year?
Not that I know.
They keep, because the enrollment period is what the enrollment period is.
Yeah, I don't
So what
think-
we vote on these numbers tonight, those are the seats.
That's it.
The ones they fill, they're filled.
Which
Because
is frustrating, because things do change.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
And school choice stays open throughout the year if there are seats available based on. So if we only filled, 3 seats at grade 5 and someone inquires in November, they can choice in from Sandwich or Falmouth because there's a spot there.
But even if you look at, like,
meaning, I guess it's like if, like, in the next, like, if we're concerned about some of those, like, upper, like, level things, like if all of a sudden a bunch of kids from, like, high school move out, go to someplace else, but that, then we get the those numbers.
Not mid-year. I don't believe you're allowed to.
No, okay. It was just a challenge because
I know, it's a good
Yeah.
But the situation is exactly the same if we offered 2 seats in 10th grade and they go. There's no more seats.
Yeah.
And so the same situation is true whether it's rare that we don't, in the upper grades, I mean, I can't remember where, are we not filling those seats? I feel like we fill them every year.
We have, and in some cases, we filled them with some challenging experiences.
Do you anticipate next year that this will be the same situation in the high school?
I would say I would hope very much not. I feel that, and I'm not going to always go back to the pandemic, but I feel the recovery is not, we're not there yet in terms of how everyone functions and thrives in a middle high school setting.
So with that said, are we looking back like 4 years, like next year will we see will we see the zero, like, I guess the question then is, how far back are we looking at this gap in the, I mean, we have talked about the social emotional gap, and that has been something discussed, but do we have an estimate how far back we're looking at these students? I mean, I don't think we're going back to kindergarten, because I feel like, you know, elementary school, I feel like we're catching them, they're getting that, but I mean, are we going back to like 4th grade? Are we going back to, do we have an idea of what?
I have my own thoughts on both. I don't know.
But that's why I'm asking you.
I don't know. You want to answer?
For me, it's reflecting on like the most recent year. So when I look to next year, I look at this year's 8th grade experiences. I look at the 7th graders this year moving into 8th. And so they're more well-known by the staff at the middle high school and the leadership up there. And so trying to envision what we want for them for the following year, and for me, less, and anyone can move in the district. There's no control over the students that move in.
Moving in is different. That's a whole different conversation.
But I think trying to sort of be aware of our resources and trying to provide sort of, for me, an improved learning environment. And granted, 2 kids is not going to make a difference in the big picture. But I make that thought thinking of the actual kids that we have with us right now.
So you're saying just going back like you're really just looking year over year. You're not saying going back to Hope's point. I mean, what was your? I do want to hear what your.
Well, just my feeling is how it manifests in kids depends on where they were when they went out. So the younger grades, I think we're seeing more academic struggles because they missed seminal times to be learning how to read and learning numeracy. And we're able to accommodate that because we've got more Title I money. We have more resources in place for that. I think those middle school kids, and I would say really our current 8th, 9th, 10th primarily, were the most affected socially and emotionally. And so I anticipate an improvement the further out we go, but I don't know that to be true, but it is my belief that we were able to intervene quicker with the kids who are currently in 7th when, for those really impactful times at Quashnet, when they make mistakes, but they do it in a safe environment where we have, it's an elementary feeling. They were able to do that for current 7th graders. The current 8th, 9th, and 10th missed a lot, not just Quashnet, but even being 7th and 8th graders, they missed. Again, this is not data driven. It is because we do our DESA data, and that definitely manifests in the same way, but this is the first time for all of us. So I don't know.
Again, you did the work to come up with these. I'm just trying to understand what it is you're seeing and looking at and informing my decisions.
No, that's fine. I just don't want. I'm not perfect.
I hear you. I hear you.
How many seats did we have available this year?
No, that's how many choice students are
That's
enrolled.
currently there.
It's usually about 60. I feel like 50, 60.
For the district?
Yeah.
Do last year's memo at all?
I have 21, 22. The proposed seats for grade 9 were 0. For grade 10 was 10, 11 was 0, and 12 was 0.
Now, what was the total?
But I don't have the total.
Oh.
But I'm just saying, if we talked about not having zeros at grade 9, we have. Also in 18, 19, our proposed 9th and 10th were 0s also.
Right, but for 22, 23.
That's this year. That's in the, isn't that in the chart?
No, that's how many are currently, not how many we proposed, the new ones for this year.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Maria keeps that spreadsheet.
I mean, it's I mean,
Okay.
it's usually about 10 more than what it is now. I mean, it's usually like 50, in the 50s, low 60s, yeah. So I think, I think I'm ready to hear a motion on this. I think that, I think you guys provided a very solid rationale. I don't, but, like Dawn said, it just didn't feel like we had a heads up that this was coming. I know that we've talked about the issues from the pandemic, but this is the first time. And I think if what we're saying is we need to keep our class sizes where they are, and we're trying to, it makes sense to me intuitively that after having our community kind of pulled apart for several years, that we need to sort of cultivate that sense of community again, and sort of keeping that that community static for the time being is going to help us do that. I think that's what I hear you saying. At the same time, I think we have the best school district on the Cape, and I want everybody to want to come here. And so there's going to be some people who are disappointed this year. But like you said, anyone who moves into Mashpee is welcome at Mashpee schools. So I get it. It's just a little bit of a bummer.
So I have, like, for 22-23, as of June 28th, which would have been the end of the round, this particular spreadsheet identifies as the round seats available. So I'm not sure if that meant the second round, but kindergarten was 5, first grade was 4, second grade was 6, third grade was 1, fourth grade was 3, fifth grade was 3, sixth grade was 6, seventh grade was 5, eighth grade was 3, ninth grade was 5, and nothing in 10, 11, and 12.
For this year.
That actually must be the thing, because then we have a chart that applications received by April 30th. Those were accepted by May 6th. How many seats were left? Then the second round seats. So that was what we had originally put out there.
Okay. So, is anyone going to make a motion to accept the school choice offerings for school year 23-24?
First, I think that, given the fact that we're about to come out of the state of emergency, I think that, we need to be mindful of the fact that, COVID is definitely in the past, and we're seeing the effects of it. But at some point in time, we're going to have to stop, making excuses. I think that also the other situation is it more of a funding or a staffing position? And by that, I feel like this information should have been given to us prior to us working on the budget. So with that being said, is there funding, or are we not hiring the positions to get the help? Outside of the students, I think that I'm more concerned about the staff, and us giving the staff the appropriate tools and help that they would need as well to support them, and not just the students and the families. So that was kind of one question, was it whether it was a funding issue or if it's a staffing problem, if we need to hire more paras, so on and so forth. The other thing is moving back, how will this affect our school choice funds moving forward? What's that going to do? So I think that those are kind of like decisions that we should have. I mean, because I want to support, the students, but it sounds like the staff, needs the help. So it's like, well, what's the problem? Are we not, hiring enough people? We're not getting people to fill these positions to give the staff the help that they need, or neither?
Well, in terms of the offset, Ashley, what did you base? I mean, we placed an offset for next year based on choice, what we expected to take in.
Well, we spend a year in arrears, so yes, so I put in the budget what was on the FY23 cherry sheet. So it's what the state is projecting us to get for FY '23 that we'd spend in the following year. So that doesn't include if we have increases due to special education students. That's just the baseline amount. So I don't think we'll have an issue with the offset going forward for next year.
I mean, unless, so Ronnie does this thing where he tends to expect the same number each year, and doesn't realize that it's what we took in those funds, it's not.
Right. So it's the revenue we're receiving right now. So if you look in the packet, you see the FY '23 revenue. That's what we're going to offset the FY '24 budget with. And so it would be FY '25 that would really be the impact of FY '24. And again, that changes, right, when depending if students come in or if they leave. It's not a fixed number.
And just looking at this chart from this year, of the seats that we offered, the unfilled seats were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 seats did not get filled. So when you're looking at what we offer, which was however many seats that was, did you add those up? Okay, that's 15. 36 and 5, 41 seats was what we offered last year.
And so, I mean, we have 121 students currently in school choice. We're looking
Yep.
to open up 46 more seats, and we're only losing 11 seniors. So
Right.
it's still an additional amount of students that would be enrolled. So we would still be
Growing.
generating revenue in FY '24. So projected, very round estimated numbers would be $780,000 at 156 kids at $5,000 a student. But again, not all those students might not enroll. We don't know. It's just what we're opening up.
Can I respond to Mr. Lee's question? The first one, because that's my area as far as the teaching and learning. I would say that it's neither. It's not a staffing issue. It's not a funding issue. It's a level of severity issue. And it doesn't matter how many adults we have around someone if they're screaming and having a huge meltdown in the hall. It doesn't matter how many adults you have. So it's the level of severity that is why we're recommending this currently. I don't anticipate that's going to continue because, as you said, it's not going to be COVID forever. We're coming out of that. But the other thing I wanted to say was when you asked about the level of the
Tools.
Man, I hate being old. It was important
More
and it was
parents.
a good. No, it wasn't about. You said. God.
Listen, everyone.
I know, seriously. You asked about if it's money or if it's staff, and then I talked about
Info ahead of the budget.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. Info ahead of the budget. So the other piece is, Mrs. DeBoer mentioned that we just sort of re-looked at the regs. Last year, we didn't bring you a number. You didn't vote on a number. It wasn't until pretty recently that we realized we needed to give you a number. So we couldn't really have given you this ahead of time because we hadn't been doing it necessarily in the same way. Also, we don't know. I would tell you that when we wrote the budget 18 or 12 months ago, a year ago, we would have no idea of where kids are going to be at this point. So the fact that we have to do the budget so early, I get it, and I would be frustrated as well. So I want to make sure I'm not like dismissing your feelings. But the system is not set up to address what you just said in that way, in my opinion. Does that make sense? Okay. You don't have to agree. I just wanted to answer you.
Well, what objective was the school choices was to utilize the quote-unquote excess capacity we have within each individual grade to be able to open up slots so that we didn't have to increase staff, etc. Kind of utilize optimize the utilization of those resources and get paid for it for doing it. And, what I'm hearing is we don't have that capacity due to various reasons. And, if we want to go out and hire more staff to do this, it's not cost effective to do it.
Right. And just to, how I just said we're at a year in arrears, so the governor just released her budget in the last few weeks, and they're projecting for our FY24 revenue for school choice is $764,000. So when I start creating the FY25 budget, that's the number I'm going to use, because I don't know what the actual revenue is going to be when I make that budget, but this is kind of the baseline of what the state is expecting us to receive. So that's kind of where that number comes from, if that's helpful.
We have a motion on the table. Are you, having further discussion, or do you? Okay, all right, so the motion is to approve the seats, as described. To Ashley's point, so the estimates, I mean, if these seats, if all these seats were filled, which they don't typically all fill in a school year, but it would put us at about the same level that we've been at, if we actually fill a little bit. So I just wanted to summarize that basically. All right, so motion to approve this, I have the motion by Matt and second by Dawn. Brian, how do you vote? Matt?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Dawn? I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we're a little behind. Don't caught me off guard. So, all the flags update.
Just very quickly, and I want to give a shout out to Ashley and Sherry Vinitsky, who over the break took all of the flags that had been left in Ashley's office at the end of the last school committee meeting. They ended up putting them through the laundry or the dryer fluff, got rid of all the dust. Flame retardant is still in place. Tristan Walker it's her senior project, so we have a list. We have 50 flags currently that were on display. Then working with Pat Montesi, who's one of the EL teachers or MLE teachers at the high school. We'll be adding 10 flags as well. Interestingly enough, one of the comments the students in the narrative part of the survey, which I'm the only one that looks at those, he has a friend who is South Korean heritage and would like to see a South Korean flag up there, which I'm not sure I see on the list. Anyway, it's going to be all finished by the Diversity Day project, which is April 3rd, is it, or end of April? In addition to the update of the flags, they're going to be updating the case that was sort of dedicated to our former teacher, Michael Ford. Not necessarily the map. They did talk about the map itself, but I think that looks pretty good, making sure we do the right pins. They do need to upgrade the list of countries represented in the hall, and also there's a sort of a tribute to Mr. Ford that needs to be updated. I met with Mr. Tripp, and that hallway is being painted. All the flags are down, which was really a shock to the kids the day they came in. They're like, where's all the flags? But anyway, I met with him one day about where to position, similar to what the public library uses for displaying the immigration project that is being expanded. It's a legacy project that will become a place that those pictures and essays get displayed as well. And then I know over the summer there's a flooring project that is addressing the is it porcelain? Mm-hmm. So the gray porcelain tile that really runs through the cafeteria, comes down that whole hallway of flags, and then near the Paul Funk Center all the way towards that back exit is supposed to be replaced, and we picked out sort of a hopefully what will look nice and not show dirt. Different things. So it will look very nice when it's done, but it will be done for the senior project.
First thing when you started this update, you said you put things on throw them in the dryer. I was like, oh my god, they replaced all the flags.
No,
thought they shrunk.
No,
They were
fine. Yeah,
they were
wiped.
fluffed and
Yeah,
then
they were
wiped
just
down.
wiped
These
No, but they
two
did
individuals
hours of
did.
manual, dirty labor over break.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, hopefully it will be nice. Oh yeah, no, I love that Hall of Flags. It's such a great project. He was.
All right.
Yeah.
Events.
Upcoming events, I think I may turn it over to the chair, but I do want to let everybody know that next Wednesday night on the 15th of March, pretty much from 5:30 to 7, although I think some people are coming a little earlier. The middle high school, in collaboration with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is hosting NOAA Administrator Dr. Richard Spinrad for a discussion with approximately 24 students, we think, representing Upper Cape High Schools to discuss climate change, its impact on Cape Cod, what young people are doing to address it, and what they need from NOAA. MMHS Junior and Cape Cod Commission Climate Ambassador Charlie Jenkins will be facilitating the student conversation with Dr. Spinrad. So it is really a student voice event, as well as sort of focused on challenges that the Cape is experiencing. I think Blue Economy might be in there as well. So I don't know if Nicole wants to share out a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, only just as a point of emphasis that we're hosting, but we've invited, all Stephanie reached out to her counterparts at 6 different public high schools in the Cape to invite them to identify students for this conversation, and they are actually planning that conversation. Tomorrow afternoon they're having a Zoom call for 6. It's already confirmed. It would be nice if there was another school committee member there, because I will, I think be wearing my NOAA hat that night. And so if anybody is interested in attending, just let us know. Patty's given all the RSVPs. Or Sherry.
Sure, I think.
The only other thing I want to say is just, it'll be exciting for me to get to blend my two passions and loves in this world, making schools and health. So, thank you, Bob.
It's going to be great.
Can I ask a question? Actually, I was just thinking about my kid. Is it open? In other words, can students come, or? No, I think we're trying to keep it manageable. Okay. Because I think what they're planning is what they call like a facial conversation. So he'll be having the conversation with the students from all the schools, and the rest of us are just kind of on the periphery, to watch, listen, learn. Okay. And it's not being filmed in any way. Okay, so we are late. Oh, I had a quick question. I'm sorry.
The parents, so on Tuesday the 28th, we've got two kind of important things. That virtual forum, is that something that we're running, and does it have to be the same night and time as Dr. Warnham's workshop? Because I feel like those are two very important conversations that need to be had, and if we could move the virtual forum.
So we agree that it's not our virtual forum. It's I believe it's the League of Women Voters are behind it. We tried to pick a different night for Dr. Warnham, and she couldn't change from that night. So yes, it's unfortunate.
Will they be running it again? Do we know?
We can find out. Yeah.
Or will it be recorded even?
Or is it recorded in something that can be distributed? Just because I feel like, again, those are two very important conversations that I think parents need access to. So, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
We tried. Yes.
No, I figured you did, but I had to ask.
Yeah. And tomorrow night at the Coombs School is the Keeping Mashpee Safe ID event. It was originally scheduled for last Thursday as well, kind of conflicted with the other two events. So they were able to reschedule that. That is a senior event, a senior project of, her name is slipping out of me, maybe Emerson? Anyway. I think so, and it's in collaboration with the Mashpee Police Department, so.
It is Emerson.
It is Emerson. Oh, good, I'm glad I pulled that out.
I only have one question. Mary Kate, what's the Cape Cod Canal presentation?
Actually, it's
It is. She's a ranger.
She is a park ranger, and she comes to school every year for 4:30 to go on field trip to the canal, and she teaches the history behind the canal. There's a lot of the terminology is just fabulous and here to educate, and we do that prior to going on the field trip.
Yeah, there were two whales or something in the canal, yeah.
Okay, all right, so I think that's, what do I have? Any other items?
broad, but we will do our best to find out.
Broad, because this is, it really is how you're assessing that impact that you told us.
Well,
Putting some parameters around what we're doing. Will you see the immediate impact on what we're doing?
yeah, and I think where you mentioned, you know, any kind of excess capacity, if there is excess capacity, we are using that to address, for the most part, I think there are some behavioral challenges that didn't seem to be present in previous years in those age groups. That's just my observation. Okay. Well, oh, it's going to be a long one. Just kidding.